comes to PPE, in my opinion, you can try to scare people. You can try to show them pictures of smashed hands and all that kind of thing. I've never done that. I just don't like showing those kind of pictures. And I think a lot of times it doesn't have as big impact as we think it does. Really, when it comes to PPE, it's making sure people are held accountable if they don't wear it. And so that is very hard. You have to make sure the drillers enforce it. You have to make sure the supervisors enforce it. You have to make sure the operational people enforce it. And that's really where you start, is at the top, because you can go out there and you can teach an assistant how they need to wear gloves, and you can have 100% buy-in from that assistant. He's going to go out on the drill rig, he's going to put his gloves on, and all it takes is for the driller to look and be like, why are you wearing those things? That one comment completely erases everything that was done in the new hire class. So it is the only way, in my opinion, to make sure that people are wearing PPE is to get the buy-in from the upper levels of operation. So when you have those managers go out onto the rigs, they need to be fully PPE'd up. They need to have on their gloves, they need to have on their glasses, et cetera, et cetera. The supervisors, if you have supervisors on the rigs, the drillers on the rigs, those people need to be wearing it. And I hate to say it, but if you go out on a rig and you have drillers who are not wearing the PPE, or you have drillers who are allowing their assistants to not wear the PPE, those drillers need to be held accountable. Those drillers should be the ones setting the example, and they shouldn't be out there allowing other people to work without the right PPE on. So it's absolutely a battle, and it takes a lot of commitment, but it can be done. It absolutely can be done. But you got to start with the top, and once you have the commitment of the senior levels of the company, that'll trickle down, and that's when you're going to actually see a change out there if you're having problems. The accountability depends on your company and how your company does it. I know I've worked around companies that have different levels where there'll be a coaching and say, hey, you need to make sure your people wear their PPE. Come out again, the people are not wearing their PPE. Now maybe it's a verbal warning where this goes in their employer record and says, hey, look, I told you last time, as a driller, you need to look out for the people on your rig. You got to make sure they're wearing their PPE. Come out again, and now they're still not wearing it. Now maybe it's a written warning, and then maybe it's a suspension. I mean, in order to actually have this work, you have to hold people accountable. You can't run around just firing people left and right, but you need to give them a sort of a progression of punishments and say to them, okay, look, I was out here, right? You need to do it right. This isn't going in your record or anything. You need to make sure your people are wearing gloves. Come out again, now you escalate it a little bit. And in my experience, that's the only way to do it. Because if you just constantly say to people, hey, you need to make sure your guys they're not gonna wear their gloves. They're not gonna pay any attention to that. You actually have to enforce it. And it's hard. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of times these very senior drillers. The last thing you want is for that driller to leave. But it's really important to make sure your people are safe. So that's where there's going to be a discussion between safety and operations. Shouldn't go around just firing people, but you have to make it crystal clear that if they are allowing the people on their rig to not wear the PPE, that they themselves are going to get held accountable for that.